Welcome to this edition of Meet the Mustangs. Rejoining us today, Athletic Director Scott Woodard. Scott,
how are you, Mike?
Doing? Good. Middle of the year, some sports have wrapped up, the fall sports, and we're in the middle of basketball. How are things going from your perspective so far?
That's a great question. Obviously, I think as any coach, administrator, we'd like to see more victories. I think with both these programs, especially in basketball, just now starting, they've both taken on changes of new kids, a lot of new faces, and then challenges by competing up a level.
Right.
And we played NAU in both men and women. We played UNM, New Mexico State, Weber State. Obviously, we're not supposed to have success in those games. We're supposed to get paychecks,
Right.
and some experience at the same time. But I always worry about, are we setting the tone too early for kids that aren't ready for acclimation to college athletics, and are we going to get the feeling of winning and losing mixed up right off the bat?
That is a tough one, and you look at the schedule, both Western New Mexico women and men have played probably the toughest in the RMAC up to this point. How about football and volleyball? Did they have the kind of seasons you were expecting, or how did those go?
I think, Mike, that obviously we won twice as many games in football as we won last year, so it's a success in my opinion because we've changed staffs. We were within a field goal with no time left and a minute left with a fumble against Adams State of winning 2 more football games. The interesting thing is if you go and look at the schedule, we were 1-4 at home and we were 3-3 on the road. So
a lot of coaches would be happy with a 500 record on the road.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. So if we win those 2 games at home, that we're ahead the entire game until the very end of the game, then all of a sudden you're talking about a 6-5 season and you're one of the most successful in the last 20 years. So I'm really excited about the direction of the football program. I think, again, continuity is the key. Are the coaches going to stay? We've already lost the offensive line coach, and understandably so. His wife, never found a job here, and I don't blame him one bit. So if we can keep the other 6-7 coaches intact and we can keep moving forward and continue to get the kind of kids that he brought in this last year, I think that's a good sign for the future. Volleyball, considering all we went through and Coach Callender's health, and those kids had to endure a lot. Tara, our athletic training, was put into an assistant coach role and really a head coaching role on the road, and I just think it's difficult for 18 to 22-year-olds to be able to handle that adjustment of not having their head coach. And if they didn't need their head coach to play, then my question to myself as the head softball coach is, then why am I doing it if they don't need me? So both are still in good shape. I think again, the transition from this year to the next year is all about what kind of kids we get in.
And from what I'm hearing from coaches around the athletic department, academics are pretty solid this year.
I think this is by far and away the best group of overall students that we've had in a long, long time. I had very few problems this semester that I had to deal with as far as discipline, as far as making bad decisions, things that happened in the community, so forth. So again, it goes back to continuity and longevity. The coaches know what kind of kids fit in Silver City, and I think, again, understanding that we need to get student athletes that put school as the first priority and that want to get an education. Is it difficult? There's no question. I still think, Mike, that we have the most difficult situation in the United States. And obviously I haven't been all over the country, but nobody's taken 12-hour bus rides over and over and over and over every week that we're on the road, and having to be able to deal with that schedule and the school schedule and the practice schedule. And it's become more and more difficult for us to be able to get kids to understand that makes it extremely difficult. And so when they go on the road, they have to keep their priorities and make sure that they're doing some studying. The online world's helped us some, obviously, where we can communicate back here at Western.
Well, it definitely sounds like they're doing the right things, and the program's headed in the right direction again, thanks in no small part to you and your staff.
I got the greatest staff in the world, and probably the behind-the-scenes unsung heroes of the whole group. They do a great job, and they make my life easier. And that was one of the reasons that I felt like I could go back out on the field and coach again, was that I had great people around me. And we're losing one this week. She's going back home and ready to finish up. And again, replacing her, when you find the right ones, it's difficult. And
You don't want to let them go.
but we also understand, again,
Yeah.
that it's time for them to move on in their career, and that these are temporary positions that we're asking them to come in and fill. But when you get good ones, and it's always good to know that you're going to be able to send them out with a good, solid foundation, and they've finished their master's degree, and they're going to go do something now that the rest of us do, which is get up and go to work every day.
Yeah, welcome to the real world.
Exactly.
Well, Scott, thanks for joining us on Meet the Mustangs, and we'll see you later in the season.
Thanks, Mike.